Okay, the JoeJoe Show number 27, 27, for those who don't habla, coming at you. The hottest topics north of the tropics. Our first annual ever football show 2019, specializing in college football expressly.
Yeah, the Unicorn Show, the Joe and Joe Unicorn Show is now here.
22 days till the season starts. The AP poll starts out August 19th, 2019. We're going with our consensus top 10, but first I want to show this pic. This is what it's all about. The grandkids, starting them early. But anyway, the consensus top 10, Clemson, Bama, Georgia, OU, Ohio State, Michigan, the Tigers of LSU, Florida Gators, the Fighting Irish, and those Longhorns out of Texas, with A&M, Washington, and Oregon following pretty close by. We want to specialize in college football, but we have a disclaimer. We don't want to infringe on anybody's personal rights or opinions, but we have our disclaimer here at the JoeJoe Show. If you can follow along with me, our opinions on college football are for information purposes only. Our opinions on college football are solely those of the JoeJoe Show. It's up to you to agree, disagree, whine, cheer, comment on our views. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Void where prohibitive, some assembly required, batteries not included. And as always, beat Texas, beat Alabama for sure. And if you want any NFL information, which we'll touch on lightly, call 1-800-Kaepernick. Other than that, what do you think about this upcoming season, little Joe?
I'm just ready to get on with it. You know, I'm just ready to get on with it.
Yeah.
And, okay, so let's get on with it. So here's your 2019 LSU football schedule.
There you go.
August 31st, powerhouse Georgia Southern comes to Baton Rouge. Ooh, watch out for that one. Upset alert.
Okay,
anyway,
LSU win.
All right, so here's the real one, okay? Saturday, September 7th, 2019 at Texas.
Yep.
7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, ABC. That's right. It's going to be one of the bigger games of the day. I bet game day is going to be there.
Yeah, I think so.
I bet they are.
They better be.
I bet they are. So you have that one. So I still grudgingly, not grudgingly. If it was Texas, it'd be grudgingly. I still think LSU's going to win this game because of Joe Burrow. I think Texas lost a lot defensively.
Yep.
Their offense is going to keep them in the game with Ellinger and that new running back. What's that new running back's name? The big boy?
Whittington.
Yeah, okay. Whether or not he starts or whatever. Peterson started his first year, so we'll see if Whittington's a real deal. But I still think LSU's going to win that game on their run defense and on the strength of Joe Burrow. But then after that, September 14th, another powerhouse, Northwestern State, comes to Baton Rouge.
Go Demons. Hello, Becky.
Then you're at Vanderbilt, another powerhouse, another SEC perennial powerhouse.
That's on the road, though.
Then you got a bye week. Then you come back with another big powerhouse, Utah State, in Baton Rouge.
That's a trap game.
Okay. And then you start to get into the real meat of your season. October 12th, the Florida Gators at Tiger Stadium. Now remember, the last time they played y'all in Tiger Stadium, you lost. You lost to them last year in the Swamp. So if I'm not mistaken, LSU ain't beat Florida. This is going to be their third time. They ain't beat them in 2 years.
I think so.
Okay. Then you got Mississippi State, October 19th in Starksville, October 19th.
Stark Vegas.
In Starksville. Then in Baton Rouge, 2 years after the rally in the Valley, Auburn Tigers, October 26th, of course, in Tiger Stadium. Then you got a bye week. Then you got Alabama.
There you go.
At Bama.
What's that date on Alabama game?
It's November 9th. Now, for some reason,
mark it on your calendar.
I'll tell you this. I know it's early August. Football season ain't even started. I got LSU winning that game.
There you go. I
got LSU winning that game.
I think they win it, and like I told you before a couple of weeks ago when we had our guest guys on the phone, LSU wins that, and LSU gets into CFP, and Bama does too, because that's going to be Bama's only loss.
No.
Okay.
Well, I disagree with you on that, but let's stick to it. You got November 16th at Ole Miss. Now, here's your trap game. Here's your trap game. You're coming off of a high, November 9th. You beat Bama in Bama. Boy, wouldn't it be just like LSU? This 2 straight road games now. Wouldn't it be just like LSU to come back and lose against Ole Miss in Oxford?
I think they did that once before, years ago.
I think they did it a couple of times. So then, of course, you have the November 23rd. You're rounding out the end of the season with the Arkansas Razorbacks in Tiger Stadium. And then the revenge game for people that think that you're the game, you got robbed last year. Texas A&M at Tiger Stadium, November 30th. And that's it. There's your season.
10-2.
You beat Alabama. You win the West. I don't think it really matters even if you lose to Auburn or Ole Miss, which I don't see you doing that, but still. Even for the most part, you beat Alabama. You're in the SEC championship. Now, I know it's August. The season ain't even started. If I had to predict, you go to the SEC championship, lose to Georgia, and you don't make it into the playoffs. That's LSU's season. I'm sorry.
That would be
I'm sorry.
punch in the gut.
You're looking at a 10-1, 9-2, not making it in the playoffs.
Well, Joe Burrow is going to be the key for the Tigers. Let's face it. And we can go through the depth chart on the Tigers. Dave Aranda's defense always shows up. Just like Bama's defense, they reload. So, I mean, I don't think there's a problem there. It's just being able to get over these big games. Somebody said the Utah State game is a trap game. You like the Ole Miss game is a trap game. I just think that LSU is going to have to prove it against Texas, and they're going to have to prove it against Bama. So that's 2 months in between that the Tigers could be undefeated by the time they play that November 9th game with Bama in Tuscaloosa, which is always tough, let's face it. But Joe Brady's going to run this RPO offense with Steve Ensminger probably calling his shots up there, and you're going to see a new brand of LSU football, which I think has been warranted for years. I've said it for years. I've told everyone in the family. And that's what we're talking about, family. We don't want to step on anybody's toes' opinion, but I think LSU beats Alabama. I like to say, I don't like to think, I like to hope, I like to know. I like to know that LSU can beat Alabama. It's time to get over the hill. What is be 11th year or 12th year that we've lost to them?
No, it won't be that long. This will be the 8th, 9th try, somewhere around there.
Okay, all right.
If you count,
seems like 10, 12 years.
No, they beat them in 2011 in Tuscaloosa. That's the last time they beat Alabama.
That's right. That's right.
So it ain't been that long.
That's right.
But, okay, so let's move. Let's keep going. Real quick, you can't ramble with the because I can't edit that.
Okay.
I mean, I have to keep that going.
Okay.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Okay. All right.
Just don't. All right. All right, now let's keep going. Let's look at them Georgia Bulldogs and their powerhouse conference. They're in the East, and they do like we do. But here we go. Here's Georgia's schedule. So
they open up with Murray State.
No. August 31st at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
So, I know Vanderbilt's trying to turn the corner, and it's the SEC and all this BS, but I think Georgia's got this game. Then you got September 7th versus Murray State. A game that probably ESPN2's cover it because there it is. Ding, ding, ding. ESPN has a deal with the SEC, and we'll get into that a little later. So, look, then you have September 14th, Arkansas State. So you have pretty much 3 powerhouses in a row, and then you get to September 21st versus Notre Dame.
Right.
In Athens. Now, Notre Dame comes to Georgia. I think Georgia will win that game.
Right.
And that'll be that. I think, that's going to give them all the credence. Then you're October 5th at Tennessee. Don't really know much what Tennessee has this year, but I don't think Georgia will lose that game. Here's the old rivalry barn burner, South Carolina, October 12th. That might be a game you might want to look at if you're a Georgia fan. Also, Kentucky, and then, of course, the largest cocktail party in the world, November 2nd.
They don't call it that anymore.
Well, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Florida, that's what we still call it. The Joe and Joe still calls it the largest cocktail party in the world. I don't give a damn what's going on outside of what we do.
That's it.
So, look, November 2nd, Florida, in Jacksonville. I would say if Georgia really and truthfully looking at it on the grand scheme of things is going to lose a game, it's going to be that game. Because
I got the Gators.
Florida, for whatever reason, just it don't matter how good the team is. Florida always beats Georgia when Georgia just cannot afford to lose to Florida.
That's it.
All right. So then you have November 9th at home versus Missouri. They could win that game.
Yep.
At Auburn, that's a game you might still want to look at. And then towards the end of the season, believe it or not, you're all beat up, trying to make it to the end of the year. November 23rd versus Texas A&M.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And then, of course, the rivalry game, Georgia Tech.
Hello, everyone. We have some breaking news on the JoJo Show today. Sorry to say, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he's not going to make it to trial. Put it that way. He's not going to make it to trial. Whether he's dead or whether he is alive is irrelevant at this point.
Well,
that's right. The deep state rides again, bro.
Okay, let me tell you what happened. They said he committed suicide this morning, Saturday morning, 6:30 in the general lockup down there where he was supposed to be under 24-hour surveillance.
Yeah,
I tend to believe he's not dead. They've put him out to pasture, say, in Israel, and the deep state goes on. Chalk one up again for those, I guess, little Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I was in two different places today. And I saw that just average, just ordinary people. And you know what they were talking about? They were talking about the Epstein and how he's dead now, or supposedly dead now, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. I heard an older couple, and they seemed like they're, like believing the whole, God, this is just BS. The elites keep getting away with everything. And then there was a younger couple at a different place, and they were just talking, and they, probably just reading the headlines. They're like, yeah, that guy, who's supposed to testify or whatever, who got in trouble with all that, that pedophile stuff. Yeah, he's not going to testify, or he's not going to make it to trial or whatever. He's dead. They found him dead or whatever. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, but they're just believing the official story. Everybody just believing the official story. Oh, he was the most sought after witness, and they were going to protect him, and all this BS, and he gets killed in jail, or either that. Okay, he dies in jail.
Yeah.
Whether he committed suicide or not. Okay, supposedly he died in jail. Whether he got killed or committed suicide is irrelevant. He is now, they're not going to have that trial. This is going to be all swept under the rug and all that BS. So I remember, there I am.
There was
So Joe, I'm sleeping. Joe, tell the story.
Yeah, Derek's sleeping this morning about 8:30. I get a communique or a message from my cousin Joanne in Florida telling me Epstein's dead. I didn't even know about it, and there it was. I'm texting little Joe. He's asleep, and then I said, well, call me. And then when he answers finally about 30 minutes later to the text, he goes, wow.
Yeah.
That's the wow factor of the whole situation.
Yeah.
Did he get iced? Did he do himself in? There was reports all over that it was real skeptical. It was real shady. It was a mysterious death. And then they just spurred him on out of the prison. And, I don't know if they'll have an autopsy or what they'll do. But, hey, man, that's a deep state thing. I'm scared for him or anybody else in that case.
My thing is, he gave that deposition a few days ago where he named Bill Richardson, the former New Mexico governor.
Alan
Dershowitz. Who else? There was somebody else in there. Oh,
Prince Andrew.
Yeah, somebody like connected to Naomi Campbell or something like that. Something crazy like that. There's all kind of connections to that. So when he told me that, he called me that, the immediate thing I thought about in my brain is like this morning, Ferris Bueller, when the Ed Rooney is like, you produce a corpse, that's what Trump should do. All right, so we're gonna do that. This is what Trump should do. Go.
Hello, this is President Trump calling the.
Hello, President Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Sergeant Peterson, NYPD.
Hey, man, I just heard the
we've
bad news. We're trying to get to help see if we can get this going.
Yeah, we've had been an unfortunate accident with this Epstein guy this morning. It's a rough thing to go through.
Yeah, I mean, we're sorry that it transpired like that and worked itself out like that. But
if you could find it to maybe forward and sign a couple of papers, we can get all this thing cleared up.
Well, I mean, if we could see a corpse or a body or something, that would be great.
Excuse me, sir. Did you say a corpse?
If you can produce that corpse, just roll his bones or his body on down here to 1600 Pennsylvania, and we'll try to clear this thing up for everybody involved.
Well, I'm not understanding what you're saying. You want me to roll this corpse down there?
There's the take. And then now, what happens now? 20,000 pages of deposition witness accounts. One gal came out the day before, 2 days before, naming all these prominent, important Democrat people, this, that, and the other. And now where does it go? They put this man asleep. Is he part of Israel's WPP? What is it, Little Joe? Let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I really don't know. At this point, I mean, anything's possible. He could still be alive and then just whisked away by the Mossad or whoever. It's alleged, that he was working for the Mossad.
Right.
And stuff like this makes me really think, yeah, he was. Because think about it. He's a billionaire. He's got all the money in the world to pay people off.
Connections everywhere.
He's got all the connections in the world to get out of something like that. Let's just say, hey, and then we told him he died of a suicide.
Yeah,
like, seriously,
man.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, he was on suicide watch, then he was off. He tried to do it July 23rd to kill himself, or somebody beat him up or something like that. I mean, connect the dots. There's a lot of people, friends of the show, that say, "Oh, well, he's dead. He committed suicide." Come on, do you really believe that?
Joe, I'm gonna float this out here. What about those 5 NYPD officers or detectives or whether they were that supposedly committed suicide in the past 2 months?
Right.
Maybe they're connected to all this some type of way.
Close to retirement, just ice themselves out. 5 guys. I mean, it's I don't know. It's a tangled web, man, and we got to try to see if we can get to the bottom of it. You got to wake up, people. I mean, friends, listeners, we're here just providing the information, what we read and see, what everything you're reading and seeing right now. If you are, that's the deep state for you. That's all I can say. It's scary. It's really scary.
All right, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Rambling wreck.
Georgia has won that game the last couple of years, even by a slim margin. So I'd have to really go back and look at the stats, but I think Georgia will win that game. And so you're looking at potentially a 1-loss Georgia team. They'll win the East. I don't see anybody in the East challenging them. They'll win the East, and they'll go to the SEC championship.
Well, that's a good take. I think Florida beats them. You're right. Go Gators. Fight, fight, fight. Front step, back step. Bite, bite, bite. But anyway, bottom line on that is that Georgia, to me, seems a little overrated with Kirby not so smart. But, hey, he's not playing. He's coaching, and they got a great quarterback. Good luck to them. I want to make a take on probably Ohio State and Michigan in the mix. That's the Big Ten. They'll beat each other up. I think Penn State's an outside chance to maybe upset 1 or 2 of those games, but I don't see Ohio State or Michigan getting into the CFP 4 or 5, but I might have put my money on them a couple of weeks ago. Now I done forgot. But I think that the dark horse in all this is probably going to be, again, like I said, LSU cranking up that mix for that CFP final spot.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at Michigan's schedule real quick, and let's see maybe some potential losses. What Michigan, I'm talking playoff teams. It does not matter anymore what your team does. If you're not making it to the playoffs, I don't give a damn how much NFL talent you have. I don't give a damn what your quarterback stats look like or how many wins you have, how good your linebacker is or whatever. If you're not making it to the playoffs, you're not making it. You are not making it.
That's
right.
right.
Okay, sorry. My team has made it 3 out of the last 5 years. Alabama's made it, 5 out of the last 5 years?
Right,
I mean, Clemson has made it 4 out of the last 5 years.
Right.
LSU's made it 0 out of the last 5 years. If you are not making it, Notre Dame's even made it. Michigan State, Ohio State. If who is it? Washington's even made it.
Yeah.
If your team is not making it, to the CFP playoff, you ain't got nothing to talk about until next season.
That's it. It's rarefied air up there. There's 130 teams in the chase, so to speak, but there's just 4 that's going to get in, and that's the way it's set up. What do you think about Michigan?
So look, here we go. Here's Michigan's schedule. Middle Tennessee, August 31st. Middle Tennessee is actually a pretty good team. Here we go. Ball Hog and Army. That's on Fox. I'm actually gonna. Yeah, I'll be watching that one September 7th.
I'd like to see how they defense them.
Then you got a bye week at Wisconsin, September 21st. Now, that is going to be a game to look at for Michigan. Okay, even though, yes, Wisconsin has not been the team they have been the last few years, but they could still beat you and make you look really bad.
That's it. That's a trap game, if you ask me.
Rutgers, Saturday, September 28th. They'll roll all over them.
They're going to get rid of their coach.
Iowa always seems to piss on somebody's parade in the Big Ten.
Defense.
October 5th is Iowa, but they got them at home. Then Saturday, October 12th at Illinois. I think they'll win that game.
Right.
Here we go. Saturday, October 19th at them Nittany Lions of Penn State. They could potentially lose that game.
Right.
They got Notre Dame at home. Saturday, October 26th, Notre Dame, if they lose to Georgia, they'll be kind of reeling still, and Michigan could probably beat them. Then you're Saturday, November 2nd at Maryland. Don't really know what Maryland looks like. Don't they have a new coach?
Yeah, they have a new coach, but they did real well last year. They beat Texas.
All right. Well, Saturday, November 16th, Michigan State. Here's another potential loss for them.
Right.
Then you got at Indiana. They'll probably win that one. Ohio State at the Big House in Michigan. In Michigan.
102,000 plus.
I think they'll win that. So, but you're still, as far as Michigan goes, you're looking at potentially 2 losses.
Yeah.
They're not going to win all those games. Unless they really, and if they do win all those games, they are really that good.
They have a good quarterback, Shea Patterson. I believe that he can get them to the promised land, but I don't know. Seems like Harbaugh to me, just can't win the big one. And we've been there with that a lot of times with the team we pull for. But that's them. That's Ohio State, Michigan at the end. They'll fight each other out. I think you need to go where Clemson's schedule is this time.
Yeah, okay. So
everybody's got to beat them. They're the number 1 team. Let's face it. They won the national championship. They're number 1. It's a chase to beat them.
ACC always starts off with conference play.
That's it.
As soon as they start, their season. So they have Georgia Tech. I think this is one of the first games of the season, August 29th.
Okay.
That's got to be a Thursday night.
Right.
Okay, a Thursday night, Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Georgia Tech, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock Eastern, so 7 o'clock our time Central. But that's going to be on ACC Network.
Yeah.
And we'll cover that later. Texas A&M, Saturday, September 7th. So they're playing them at Clemson.
Okay,
all right.
Let me tell you something. Clemson said they beat Alabama. Y'all know that in national championship. They said their toughest game. Their players said their toughest game was against A&M last year. I just need to throw that in there. That's a compliment and a half for Jimbo down that way. Good luck.
Well, I will say something about Jimbo. He knows what it's all about. There's no amount of money we could pay our lawyers to keep our boys on the field. I like that. That's my favorite point from the Jameis Winston era.
There you
when
go.
He was there. So look, Saturday, September 14th, Clemson at Syracuse. The last time they went at Syracuse, they almost lost that game.
Yep.
That's when Bryant got hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
They lost it the year before.
Yeah, that's when Bryant got hurt.
Yeah.
But they bounced back and did make
with
to the
Lawrence.
playoffs. Right.
Yeah.
Charlotte, September 21st.
University of
the
Charlotte.
Charlotte 49ers.
Damn. 49ers.
At North Carolina, September 28th. So that's believe it or not, is a rivalry game. North Carolina hates them. They hate North Carolina. Yada. Florida State, they got them at home October 12th. They'll probably win that. I don't see Florida State doing anything anytime soon. At Louisville, Louisville's deplorable. They fired Petrino. They got a new coach. They'll be breaking in a whole new system with a whole new coach.
Right on.
They'll win that handily. Boston College at home. Boston College always, it doesn't matter how bad or good their team is. They always play tough, but look for Clemson to probably win that game.
Defense.
That powerhouse Wofford comes to
Walker?
Wofford.
Wofford. Okay.
Powerhouse Wofford comes at Clemson November 2nd. At NC State now. Here's another team that always plays Clemson and don't care who Clemson is and hits them in the mouth every time they play at NC State.
There you
but
go.
NC State, I don't know what they look like, but Clemson will probably win that game. Wake Forest at home. Clemson will probably win that. Then they have a bye week, and then at South Carolina. Come on, South Carolina.
South Carolina, excuse me, little Joe, since we're rat-a-tatting, South Carolina has the toughest schedule in the nation. Okay, I just thought I'd tell you that. That's what everybody's saying.
ACC championship after that. I don't see anything on their schedule that's probably gonna prevent them from making it to the ACC championship. And depending on who they're playing, they'll probably win that, and they'll be back to the CFP.
Miami.
Why do they not play? Oh, I guess they don't have to. Why do they not play Miami in their regular season? But I guess they don't have to because you got an ACC. Well, you got ACC Coastal.
Yeah.
And you got the Atlantic.
The Atlantic.
Yeah, Atlantic and the Coastal.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Who else?
Well, we'd like to get to the crux of the situation. Who we pull for here, and we have other teams that we pull for in the family, but we're looking at A&M. We can go over there. He just thumbnailed Jimbo Fisher. I think A&M's about a year or two away. The consensus is they're going to have a pretty good quarterback, and they come here to Tiger Stadium. We've already said that. I think they may have revenge on their mind, but they, no revenge. They won that 7 overtime victory down there at College Station. LSU will have revenge on their mind. Excuse me on that. But let's look at them Oklahoma Sooners, if you can pull them up, what their schedule is. I think their toughest game, OU's toughest game, is naturally against Texas. And there's a few trap games that they're worried about. And I think they go through the Big 12. They always have. What do you think?
Okay, so OU, believe it or not, I mean, listen, I'm an OU fan through and through, but this is a tough schedule for us. I'm sorry, it really is. You got Houston. Houston will be at home, which is good. Then you got South Dakota.
State.
No, I think it's just South Dakota.
I think it's South Dakota State, but
SDAK, South Dakota. And, I mean, they're, it don't say SD State. It says South Dakota. Okay, on Saturday night 7. So I think they'll win against Houston. I think they'll win against South Dakota. Okay.
For sure.
At UCLA now. At UCLA. And when you take a team from the East traveling to the West, it's a lot harder to win a game versus if you take a team from the West and come to the East.
Well, I think
for whatever
in that game,
reason.
Chip Kelly's probably trying to get it together, but I think UCLA is a couple of years away, and I think we do the job.
Versus Texas Tech on 9/28. Texas Tech's breaking in a new coach. They don't have Kingsbury. They don't have Mahomes. But, look for Oklahoma to make it close. Then you got Les Miles. Then you got to go up to Kansas with Les Miles. Yeah, we're gonna show those Sooners a thing or two. When I was at Oklahoma State, we split hairs with them 2-2.
They beat us one time when he was there.
They beat us twice.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got the Kansas game at Kansas, October 5th. Then, of course, the big one versus Texas, October 12th. Of course, I'm pulling for OU, but being as I haven't seen Texas or Oklahoma yet, I still got to go with Oklahoma because I don't think Texas is going to have the defense. That's the good honest truth. I'm sorry. That's the octagonist truth. Hey, have I told you about
That's that word.
Yeah.
That's that word.
Have I told you about octagonist?
You mentioned it.
It's a combination of God honest and honest to God truth. But if you want to say both of them at the same time, be like octagonist truth.
Octagonist truth.
Octagonist.
I like that. I like that.
So here we go. Octagonist truth. You got the Texas game. They'll probably, hopefully they win that. I think they will. Then you got to come back, and West Virginia comes to Norman. That's a good thing.
With a new coach.
Yeah, Dana Holgorsen is no longer West Virginia.
He's at Houston.
They've lost that big wide receiver. What was his name? Sills.
Sills. Yeah.
And then they don't have Greer.
Right.
Okay. So then you have at Kansas State. Now, we almost lost there with Mayfield that year. We got it going late. Had to mount a fourth quarter rally. Okay. Then Iowa State comes to Norman. They beat us in Norman 2 years ago with Mayfield.
Right.
So you got to watch that. At Baylor. 11-16, November 16. This game, believe it or not, I'm kind of like leery about as of today because it's just when you go on the road and you're in the middle of nowhere in Texas, weird things seem to happen, okay?
Yeah.
Then you got TCU at home November 23rd. They'll probably win that. And at Oklahoma State, I don't have faith in the Cowboys. They never seem to get it done, and that's a rivalry game, and we'll be ready. So you're looking at potentially a one-loss Oklahoma.
To who?
Going in, I don't know. It could be Iowa State, Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State. I just don't see him running the table. Texas. I just don't see him running the table the whole year. Even when Mayfield when
right,
we lost to Texas in 2015.
Right.
Even when Mayfield we had 2 losses that 2016 year. If
Right.
we don't lose to Houston, that's our 4th playoff appearance
right,
in the last 5 years, okay? If we don't lose to Houston in 2016, 2017, we had our one loss to Iowa State, but it didn't matter because
Right.
we won our conference and made it to the playoffs. Last year, 2018, we had our one loss to Texas, but then we avenged that loss in the Big 12 championship against Texas.
Well, let me interject about the Sooners. That was great. Look at that murderer's row schedule. Gosh, Baylor, TCU, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Oh, yeah, everybody always says the Big 12. They're all, the SEC's tough. Everybody, we run all over them here and all this stuff like that. And we beat y'all in the bowl games. No, you didn't.
Listen,
and you don't all the time.
I don't see anybody rushing to schedule TCU or Texas. Right? LSU's playing Texas, and I'll give them that. But nobody in the country is rushing to play these teams. And I'm not saying they're a powerhouse. I'm just saying all these teams, just like SEC or even some of the ACC teams, the Big 12 teams and the Big 10 teams, you don't want to play those teams week in and week out because they could potentially beat you, and that's what every conference has to go through. And I'm not taking anything away from a Big 10 or SEC, but don't try to sit there and downplay my conference like we're a bunch of sleepers because any one of those teams I just named on Oklahoma's schedule could beat you.
That's right. And then, like I say, the Sooners will have Jalen Hurts. We all know about him. If you don't, he was the quarterback at Alabama. Enough said. Now he's a top-notch athlete quarterback there at quarterback U. Maybe can in the Heisman Trophy running. Well, who knows? But anyway, then they'll have a better defensive coach, a better defensive formation, a better defensive philosophy, which they really, really need. That's what's kept them out of the big dance all the way to the trophy round in the past couple of years. We all know that. They have the offensive firepower. They have game managers, this and that. That's the things that bother me about these top 10, top 4 or 5 rarefied air teams. The quarterback goes down, who comes in? Who comes in? Who's the second-string quarterback can do it? Alabama had the luxury of Tua and Jalen Hurts last year. I mean, look at the Sooners this year. Look at Shea Patterson at Michigan. Look at Kellen Mond at A&M. Look at Joe Burrow. Who substitutes for Joe Burrow and carries the torch and puts them in there? So you got to protect those guys. But the schedule, to me, is brutal in the SEC West and in the Big 12. I'll match them. ACC, I give it all to Clemson. I don't think anybody else can match them. They'll be in the big dance. The big Pac-12, you're looking at Washington, Oregon, maybe UCLA, USC on the bottom. Those guys never have, for the past 10 years, seem like they've been in the big dance in that conference. And then you have the Big East. The Big East. There's nobody out of there. Boston College, people like that.
What are you talking about? There is no Big East anymore.
There's no Big East? Okay. Penn State. Sorry about that.
Come on, Joe.
It slipped my mind there. But, I mean, I meant to say anybody out of the East is not going to come to, to the CFP. So
Clemson's from the East.
Well, I mean, I'm talking East, maybe Northeast.
Florida's from the East?
Yeah.
Georgia? No.
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't call them East.
No, I'm talking about, you know what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I might have got lost.
In closing out, okay, now, us at the Joe and Joe Show, we want to be fair to everything and everybody. I'm not going to sit here and bombard you with a bunch of Big 12 and SEC because you already get bombarded with a bunch of SEC for sure. And you'll probably, depending on where you live, get bombarded with a bunch of Big 10. Now, I am not giving up on the Pac-12. Nobody in America is rushing to schedule Colorado or Utah or Washington, even though you could probably win those games, the big boys, the top 10, but nobody's doing that, okay? So if we name teams tonight, Joe, who we got as far as playoff teams goes? We got an SEC team with Georgia.
Yes.
We have Michigan, okay?
Right.
We have Oklahoma out the Big 12.
Right.
And or a Big 12 team. And then you have Clemson out of the ACC.
Right.
Okay? So, who could be the other team that could get in? And, the Washington Huskies, for me, is one of the first teams to come to mind. I personally don't care about who they play and how they win the game, stuff like that. That doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. All that matters is that you have a good enough record, you beat some good enough decent teams, and you're in late November at number 5. And all you have to do is get to your rivalry game, and then that's it, win that game, and then you have a shot at making it into the CFP. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. So let's look at the Washington Huskies. Let's look at their schedule. Eastern Washington, August 31st, they'll probably win that. Saturday, September 7th, California, they got them at home. I don't really know
the Cal Bears.
I don't really know about Cal, but I'm going to say Washington wins that game.
Win.
Hawaii, September.
Win.
Okay, Hawaii, yeah, win against Hawaii. At BYU now, at BYU. Okay, BYU's had a couple of down luck years the past couple of years, and they're not the same team they used to be. But I will say that BYU is a trap game because you got to go to Provo. It's Provo, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Then Washington has USC at home September 28th, and then they have to go to Stanford. Then they have to go to Arizona October 12th. They'll probably win that game pretty handily.
Yep.
Then they come back against Oregon.
At home?
At home against Oregon October 19th. Then they got a bye week. Then they got Utah at home November 2nd. Then they go at Oregon State. Oregon State ain't been nothing since Dennis Erickson was there.
The Beavers.
I'm sorry, yeah. Then they got to go to the Buffaloes of Colorado, and I'll tell you right now, they'll probably lose that game.
Yep.
Then you come back for the Apple Card, or whatever they call it, the Apple Cup at Washington State, but they play that in...
Fight for Washington State.
Where does Washington play?
Pullman.
No.
Washington plays in Pullman, Washington.
Are you serious?
I believe so.
No, Washington State. Where does Washington State play?
Washington State plays in Pullman.
Washington itself plays in Tacoma?
Yeah.
Is it Tacoma?
Maybe.
Something like that.
Somebody correct us.
Somebody correct us. Yeah, comment below. Yeah,
he's right, I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it ain't that. So either which way, Washington, I see probably 2 losses on that schedule right there, which are pretty much going to X them out of anything. It X them out. If the Pac-12 loses one game, they're pretty much going to be out of it. Because look at the schedule. They don't play nobody but themselves. They played nobody. They played nobody in any of the major conferences. They played no Big 12 teams, no ACC teams, no Big 10 teams.
Washington and Auburn play.
No SEC teams. No, they don't. Wow, I got it right here. No Washington and Auburn.
Okay.
I didn't see.
They did
playing,
last year.
They're playing nobody but those West Coast teams and themselves. So, no, Washington, as of right now, is out of it if they lose one game.
Well, the Pac-12, I'd heard that their athletic director was considering starting their games early. So we'll be able to see them over here, because if not, they'll start them at 7 o'clock. We won't see them until after 9 o'clock. We've had all our SEC, Big 12, ACC games.
Yeah, and you're sleeping off the hangover by that point.
Well, yeah, some of us are, but we used to watch it all the way till 11 o'clock. Remember the last game of the night?
I used to watch it till 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's when we used to hang with Glenny the Greek. But anyway, I think Washington has a chance. I really do. I think Oregon has a chance. Oregon has a great quarterback. We're not knocking the Pac-12, really, but like Little Joe said, they're out there playing each other, beating each other up, just like they do in the SEC West, and you can't have them all in there, but I think the cream rises to the top. You're going to look at Clemson with their schedule in the ACC and their quarterback, prototype Tom Brady-type quarterback to me, better than that, and you look at the Big 12, you look at Oklahoma, maybe Texas, if Texas can prevail this year, but I don't think they do. And then you have the Big Ten. So, I mean, the Big Pac-12 is loaded with a lot of good talented West Coast teams, and that's a lot of good football out there. Born and raised with USC football when I could see something else other than LSU football in the early 60s.
Really and truthfully, for anybody that is in SEC country or Big 12 country, and you're, and you say, oh, those teams aren't nothing. They don't make it to the playoffs. Well, you know what? Your team's probably not making it to the playoffs either. Yeah. That's the point. Don't sit there and bash another team or another conference. Oh, they're not making it to. Your team's not going either. Yeah. Your team's not going either. Yep. Unless you're Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan State, Washington, or whatever. Your team has never been. Yep. So don't, or Oregon, even Oregon's been in there. Your team has never been. So don't give me that BS about how, it's just the strength of the conferences and, No, dude, your team sucks too. If you're not making it to the playoffs, your team sucks.
That's it. That's what everybody's fighting for.
Let's go USC, and then we'll do Texas' schedule, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so Fresno State.
Who?
Fresno State versus USC. That's at
Fresno SC.
They start their conference play way early. They start off playing their conference.
Right.
September 7th, Stanford at SC. Then they got to go to BYU, September 14th at BYU. Then they're at home versus Utah, September 20th. Then at Washington, mind you.
Wow.
There it is, September 28th. Now, that game is going to be a big game. It's going to be toss-up. Then they got to go to Touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame, October 12th. Hey, Notre Dame's got a tough schedule.
Right.
Notre Dame's got a tough schedule.
Right, they do.
I don't give a damn who. I don't give a damn. Do not sit here and try to downplay Notre Dame's schedule, especially if they run the table or just have one loss. The teams they're playing, those are some good teams.
All right, let me give you Notre Dame's cupcakes while you got them on the schedule. And if we carry over time, we carry over. This is our first annual football show. We'll edit it as usual. Notre Dame has Duke, Bowling Green, and New Mexico on their cupcakes list. Bama has...
but Bama's got Duke.
Yeah, Bama's got Duke too, Western Carolina, Southern Miss, and New Mexico State. So it looks like these two teams went into the New Mexico area, got some cupcakes there. I don't think Southern Miss is all that, what they are, but Western Carolina, Saban played them when he was coach here at LSU. I think they ripped them off 58 to nothing at the end of the game. To me, cupcakes don't need to be played on the schedules. Let's get into
it's college athletics.
Let's. I know the NCAA wants all the D2 teams to make money.
It's college athletics, man.
I know, man. I know, but it just, to me, it doesn't help. And Alabama gave a big excuse a couple of weeks ago. Well, we try to schedule these teams, and then the subsequent schedules for the future years coming, they got rid of the Western Carolinas and stuff like that.
If that came out of old Snake Saban's mouth, then no, you can't believe what he says. So
well, that's another thing.
Come on, let's look at
the rants and raves of Saban. Excuse me, the mystique has to be beat. All these excuses, the referees that they sometimes just make the calls, but that's all a part of the game.
SC 10-19, October 19th versus Arizona. They'll win that. October 25th at Colorado. That's going to be a good one. Okay, November 2nd versus Oregon. They probably win that. Although I haven't seen Oregon. Oregon could come out and just shock everybody. You never know.
They're supposed
you never
to.
know. All right. Then it's at Arizona State. Then it's at Cal. Look, I don't give a damn. When you're on the road at the end of the season, those games are tough. You could be playing Sisters of the Poor, and it doesn't matter. Those are games you could potentially lose. So look, and then the barn burner, the battle for Los Angeles.
Yeah,
UCLA versus SC, but SC's playing them in the Coliseum on. Well, actually, no, don't they? Yeah, they play it at a neutral location. I'm sorry. So both schools use Coliseum. So and that's on November 23rd, and that's the end of their season.
Great.
So they don't
rivalry game.
So their end of their season is November 23rd. So that means if they make it to the playoffs at that point, well, no, they'll have the Pac-12 championship. That's right. If they make it to the Pac-12 championship, they have to play another week. Okay, so that's different. Okay, but with USC, you're looking at potentially 2 losses. Potentially 2 losses. I'm telling you, the Pac-12 loses 1 game, they're out of the playoffs.
That's it. And USC, Clay Helton, the head coach, is on the hot seat. It's burning. He can't even sit down and get 2-3 feet from it. USC probably won't go 7-5, 8-6, whatever the case, 8-4, whatever the case may be. They're not going to win that many ball games with that brutal schedule. Things I like to see in the NCAA college football this year is the rivalry games. I love them, the big games of the years. We've already mentioned most of them. Derek, Little Joe went through the conference schedules with them. You got Texas OU, Texas LSU, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Washington, Oregon, Miami versus Florida, A&M, LSU, Bama, LSU. Why does Auburn always kind of beat and sneak up on Alabama? I don't know. But those are rivalry trap games. Upsets are all apart. Injuries, bad calls. You just got to roll with them, people. There's no excuses. You just work day in, day out, work every week, and try to win each and every ball game and see if you can get that rarefied air of the CFP.
Yeah. Nobody, absolutely nobody feels sorry for anybody in the college football. Nobody. We all remember that time you came in and you drubbed us. I remember being a little old boy and losing to Texas and crying, and you know what? That sucked. Yeah. And that made me hate Texas. And so now to this day, when Texas lose and I see that little boy crying, I'm like, yeah, that's right. We'll do it again next year, kid.
Yeah, well, call Gary Thumper to see if you were crying at that LSU Auburn game.
It doesn't matter. So look, here is the Texas schedule. Okay, so Louisiana Tech, August 31st, and then you jump right to Louisiana State, September 7th. Then you got Powerhouse Rice. In Houston. Now, that's a neutral game, though, especially if they're coming off a big win against LSU.
Rice is ranked 129.
They're not going to beat LSU. I'm sorry. Oklahoma State, September 21st.
Yep.
Okay. October 5th at West Virginia. Okay.
They'll win. Texas
against the Sooners in Dallas, October 12th. Saturday, October 19th, and Les Miles, come back to Austin. I can't wait to eat the grass on the field of Darrell K. Royal Stadium. It's got the best grass in the Big 12. So at TCU, October 26th, then they got a bye week. Then they got Kansas State at home November 9th. At Iowa State, November 16th. Iowa State
is tough. They're going to be tough.
And towards the end of the season, you're playing teams at home. And so look at this. Then November 23rd at Baylor. And then November 29th, your last home game, Texas Tech. And then the Big 12 championship if they make it.
So what do you think? 10-2? For the Longhorns or 9-3?
I see potentially 2 losses for the Longhorns.
OU.
And one of these teams, either the Baylor or Iowa State.
Yeah,
or add even maybe the TCU. You never know. It all depends on the health of Ellinger. If they ain't got Ellinger, they ain't got nothing.
No, you're right. And like I said, they have to replace 8 starters on defense. They may say, "Oh no, that we can do it. We'll reload." They didn't have the depth to reload last year. They played seniors and anybody else that could get in there, and they did a formidable job. But listen, there's things in college football I just want to kind of go over. I get aggravated with during the season. 3rd and long. It don't seem like you can block a blitz. I like up-tempo football. These bend don't break defenses, and the last one scores. I'm getting pretty tired of that, but it does happen, and it is out there. That Bama mystique, like I talked early, it's got to be busted up some kind of way. Clemson kind of shook it up.
It is busted up.
Clemson shook it up a little bit, but they're always in there, and they'll be in the thick of things again. You watch.
And the refs will be cheating for them like they always do. Cheaters.
There you go. Well,
cheater,
it's a part of the game.
Eater.
It's part of the game.
No,
but
it's
listen,
not.
This year, you got to watch when you play those horns, those beloved horns, with some of the family.
Yeah, because they'll cheat too.
Because if you do this to them, to their fans, or to their players on the field, it's going to be up to the referee's discretion to see if you were really doing it as taunting or just doing it like everybody else is doing in the stands. So that kind of makes
what about this, Joe? Is this a bad gesture?
Well, yeah, I'm sure it is too. But I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can do that. I'm sure that's obscene. You can get called on that. But Come on, man. They started it. They put it up there like this, which means Longhorns. Well, why can't you put horns down? It doesn't make sense to me, and you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. But I tell you what, in a tight game, if I'm the coach of my team and I'm taunting them and putting horns down when I'm trying to catch up or I just went ahead, I'm going to have to talk to that kid and say, you already know the rules. You can't do that. And that's just the way society is going, if you ask me. Pretty soon they'll be blocking and playing with flags eventually in about 20 years, but who knows? But those things really, really aggravate me, and it's all a part of the game. Calls, injuries, suspensions, and who's going to be the resilient one to make it to the Final Four, to put it all together. You know who's going to be there. You already have a feeling. Can your team do it? Can your team pull up, like Little Joe says, if you're not in the rarefied air section of the top 10 scheduling and how they have the rankings, and then toward the end of the year, then you have nothing really to talk about. You gave it your best, you tried, and you're not in there, and you can't knock the other guys that are there and trash them, but that's just the way nature is and stuff. I'd like to give shout-outs to the little guy starting football next Saturday, number 9, Ethan. Good luck on that. USMC Heath Mendoza, Japan, Okinawa, the family demographic, all the kids that are starting school in the family, from grandsons, nephews, nieces, the list goes on, grandchildren. Good luck with that, college and elementary to junior high. Be safe out there, people. It's a rough world out there. Little Joe, what do you got?
That's it. We'll see you next week. Thank you for everybody subscribing. Thanks for everybody listening. Hope y'all enjoyed the football episode of the show. We had to get to other news that was breaking news.
That's it.
But now we're back on track, and we'll see y'all next week, hopefully.
22 days left to college football. KT, we love you over there in Chicago, soon to be Missouri. God bless everybody. Say your prayers, little ones. Drink all your milk.